Welcome to another installation of FJA math notebooks. Today we are going to be doing an entry on square roots. So you'll need this piece of paper, your math notebook, title at the top, Identifying Square Roots. And this piece of paper actually doesn't really need too much cut out of it, although I would recommend taking off the sides and then take off equal amount of the sides on this one. And I'm gonna do that really quick just to make it a little bit more of a usable size. All right, fold both of these pieces of paper right down the middle. We're going to make a little booklet. So first thing, we're going to glue these two together, just like this. So make sure both the words are facing up there. And glue those together on the back. So now we should have a book like this. Glue on this side, and let's put it right down in the middle of the page. Up, a square root is one of two equal factors of a number. And we say factors because when we multiply two numbers together, we get their square. So that's like 2 times 2, that's 2 squared. And so we have factors. Factors means that we multiply them together. So put that there. Factors. So if x squared equals y, so let's say number x, maybe 2 squared, that equals y, well that would be 4. Then x is the square root of y, so it's the inverse operation. And we'll put a little note about that at the bottom too here in a little bit. But let's just visualize square roots and what that really means. So let's say that we're looking for the square of a square with 4 on each side, right? So let's color that in here, and maybe I'll do it in some color. So I've got 4 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a side of 4. And then we've got another side of 4, because it's a square, right? And the side should be the same length, 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. We'll come on down here. Let's color this in. It's funny, I did 5. And we'll leave that off there. So we've got a square of 4. So 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. And if we shade this in and count all of our squares that we have inside of here, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So a square with 4 on its sides is an area of 16 units there. So that's the meaning of square roots. The square root is just the length of one side of a square, or another way you could think of it is the opposite operation to squaring. So 4 squared is 16, 4 times 4, and that's the area of the square. And so the square root would be looking at the area of a square and then doing the operation to find out what the length of that side would be. So let's write down a little bit about that square we just did. What is the height of your square? Well, it's 4 units. Okay, so this square over here was 4 units that we just did. And the length of that square was also 4 units. The height and length of your square you drew are equal factors. How will you determine the area of the entire square? What we're going to do is we're going to multiply the factors. So we've got the square root is one of 2 equal factors of a number, so we multiply them. So we've got 4, it's right here, 4 times 4 equals 16, and that is going to be our area of our square. So here we have a really handy chart. This symbol here, like we learned in class, that's the radical sign. So that means square root of 1 or radical 1. You could say it either way. And so the idea here is, hey, if we have radical 1, it's asking if we have a square, the area of 1, what is each side? Well, a square with the area of 1 is just 1 square. So the factors, the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4, well, that would be a square with 2 cubes on each side. You could even visualize that. That'd be like this one right here. If we did 2 and 2, well, sure enough, the area is 4. All right. The square root of 9 is 3. So if we had a square with an area of 9, that would have 3 squares on each side. Radical 16, well, we found that out already. That's 4. Radical 25 is 5. Radical 36 is 6. Radical 49, again, this is asking, hey, what two numbers could we multiply together to get 49? And if you know your multiplication facts, you're like, oh yeah, that's 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9, 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. The square root of 144 is 12. The square root of 169, 13. 14 is the square root of 196. 15 is the square root of 225. So again, just to re-explain, if we had a square and its area was 225, each side would be 15 long. 16, and finally 17. And the reason these charts are really nice, and we're also going to make a number line as well to explain this, is because most people can't really remember every single one of these square root facts, and it's really hard to figure out. So just memorizing a few of these and having them in charts so you can look at it for your test is going to be super duper helpful. And the last thing I want to do is right on the cover here is just say x squared equals y, and that will kind of help you remember that y, so any number y that's in that square root sign, that's x. So it's the inverse operation there. So we have two numbers we multiply together and they equal y. Well, then that same number y, if we take the square root of it, we're going to get x, that number we started with. Thanks for tuning in. Hope this is helpful.